There's been a new Reuters poll, and Trump's approval rating right now is sitting at 33% approval, while there is a 64% of disapproval. This is his lowest approval rating of this term in the Reuters in the polls. Now, keep in mind that there was only 1,166 adults surveyed, so this is not the vast majority of the country. So first of all, from this poll, this doesn't mean that two-thirds of the entire country hates Trump. This was a small number of people surveyed in the grand scheme of things, but it's important to note why so many people are not liking Trump right now, why he has such a low approval rating. So I think the biggest reasons, obviously, are the war in Iran right now. So this has made gas prices jump out the roof. So the cost of living has skyrocketed. And when the cost of living has skyrocketed to such an extraordinarily extent, you would think that we would at least be fighting for something good, worthwhile for the longevity of the country in Iran. According to the Reuters polls, the majority of people didn't think Trump clearly explained America's goals with the conflict itself. And in late of July, most Americans said that the administration hadn't clearly explained the aim, the goal. So it seems like people don't even know what the end goal of this war is. What's the point? Is it to see a massive change in Iran? Is it to halt and take seize of all their nuclear weapons? Point is, right now, this war is completely unsellable. No one wants this war. No one understands this war. Certainly no one understands why America is involved with the war. It just seems like the vast majority of Americans are suffering most with their wallets right now for a war that is unnecessary and hasn't been explained. There's no end goal. There's no ending in sight on top of that. Who knows when this is going to end? And I'm certainly not happy about it. And the majority, I would say the majority of the country is also not happy with it. I'd say the vast majority of the country are also unhappy, especially with someone who talked about no more new wars, talked about the cost of living going down. According to AAA gas prices, the U.S. national average for a gallon of regular gas is $4.07, according to the data from AAA. Obviously, this number differs from every single state, but the average is $4.07. And before the conflict with Iran began in late February, the national average price for a gallon of regular gasolines in the United States were just under $3 per gallon, so they were sitting at $2.98. So from the war with Iran, we've had some ups and some downs, but before the war, it was about $2.98, $3 in that sort of area. The national average now is $4.07, and we've hit a peak where during the peak of supply distribution, the cost was $4.50. It's especially annoying after hearing no new conflicts and the prices going down of everything. Feels like we got a towel over our heads, and Americans are being widely affected by the gas prices. It's such a silly and ridiculous thing that we're experiencing right now, all because of a war that the majority of people don't even understand the reason for. On top of that, Trump has also talked about being American first, and obviously this isn't American first. This is completely opposite of Americans. He is putting Americans on the back burner for whatever ridiculousness he's wanting to accomplish over in Iran. Biggest defenders of the war talk about how Iran's nuclear ambitions are a threat to Israel. It would suggest that America has an interest in seizing and disarming Iran, so they're no longer a threat to not only Israel, but to possible other nations, including America, if they ever really want to get down in the boxing ring, which I suggest they don't. But we all know that Iran is dangerous, but saying that Iran is dangerous doesn't necessarily put us into the condition that we need to go to war with Iran. Just because they're dangerous doesn't prove that they're going to use any dangerous intentions towards us. Doesn't necessarily prove that they have any dangerous intentions towards anyone else. And it doesn't prove that we need to go to war at the cost of millions of Americans. What do we as Americans get out of the war? Because right now it feels like nothing. It feels like we don't get anything from the other end of the war. In Reuters data, there's about 20% of people who believe the Iran war was worth fighting, while 80% expect the war to be prolonged. And for the people who don't even follow politics, who are not that much into the loop, everyone can still see the gas prices going up, and they all know the reason why. It's because of this unnecessary and worthless war that we are fighting, that we as Americans are involved in and suffering from in Iran. Overall, just not very great for the Republican conservative side of the aisle. And dissecting a little bit more of Trump's affordability, heavily campaigned on inflation and the cost of living, but now he's warned Americans to prepare to continue for high fuel prices because of the war. And it certainly doesn't do the conservative movement any favors in the future. And not only are just average Americans suffering, but also we have the military side of things, the military resources that we're expending at the cost of this war. Reuters reported earlier this month that months of operations had strained certain U.S. munitions inventories. Commanders had warned about shortage of some weapons, including long-range precision missiles. AP also reported this week that the Iran conflict is stretching U.S. carrier resources enough that the last U.S. aircraft carrier in Asia was pulled as Washington focused resources elsewhere. So then the question loops back to, even if you are a defender and you are fully supportive of the war, how much resources do the military need to consume during the war? Because obviously, if there were ever a larger threat that the United States needed to actually get into a war and actually had an end goal, actually had something worth it for Americans at the end, whether it's fighting on the behalf of someone else or it's defense, we have to take in consideration how much resources are we willing to fork up and give up in this pointless war. There are some important resources at stake here, some finite ones on top of that. If there ever were a larger threat that the United States had to defend or fight off, we're going to want all the possible resources at our disposal. And it would possibly take up more time, money, energy, and all this sort of thing to bring those resources back either over to here to defend the nation or to fight on the behalf of another nation in case there were, a much larger threat, a much serious war going on. So really, in conclusion, this war is totally pointless, totally mind-boggling. The cost of everything is going up. We're expending valuable military resources for essentially what feels like no gain for Americans. Those are my general thoughts about it. I still support Trump, obviously. I think Trump was still the better candidate than Kamala Harris. But that doesn't mean that I support everything that he does, and this is certainly one of the biggest blunders that Trump has ever done, and I just hope it's not long-lasting and long-damaging towards the conservative and Republican movement going forward, and this could seriously affect the future of our presidency for Republican nominees. But guys, that's going to be it for this video. Jesus Christ is King. Repent and believe in the gospel.